It all started with a quiet evening at home, the kind of night where everything felt peaceful and safe. I had just returned from a long business trip, excited to be with my wife, Maria, and my best friend, Ryan, who had been helping her with some household work while I was away. Ryan had been my closest friend since college, the man I trusted more than anyone outside my family. I thought of him as a brother. Over the following weeks, though, I started noticing things that didn't sit right. Maria seemed nervous around me, avoiding eye contact when I asked about her day. Ryan stopped visiting as often, claiming he was busy, yet I'd sometimes see his car parked down the street near my house. My gut told me something was wrong, but my heart refused to believe it. I had too much faith in both of them to imagine any betrayal. Then one evening, while I was helping Maria organize some papers, I came across a medical report tucked inside her drawer. It was a pregnancy report. The date on it was from 2 months earlier, right around the time I had been away. My hands trembled as I read it. When I confronted her, she froze. She didn't deny it right away, she just started crying, saying it was complicated. That word shattered me. At first, she refused to tell me who the father was. I demanded the truth over and over, until she finally broke down and whispered Ryan's name. My mind went blank. I couldn't breathe. My best friend had betrayed me in the worst way possible, and my wife had let it happen. I left the house that night without saying another word, driving aimlessly until sunrise, trying to make sense of how my whole world had fallen apart overnight. When I went to my parents' house, I expected comfort. Instead, I found something even more painful. They already knew. My mother couldn't look me in the eye. My father tried to calm me, saying, "Son, we didn't want to tell you until you were ready." Ready? How could anyone ever be ready to hear that their wife was carrying their best friend's child? It felt like I had been living inside a lie, carefully protected by the people I loved most. The anger inside me boiled like fire. I couldn't understand how everyone had chosen to protect her instead of me. My mother tried to justify it, saying Maria had been scared, and Ryan had promised to take responsibility quietly. But to me, their silence was betrayal too. They'd watched me live in ignorance while laughing at dinners and smiling through conversations as if nothing had happened. For days, I locked myself in my apartment, ignoring calls and messages. Maria came by, crying at the door, begging for forgiveness, saying she'd made a terrible mistake. I didn't let her in. She left letters under my door, saying she loved me, that Ryan had manipulated her, that it only happened once. But I couldn't believe her anymore. Trust, once broken like that, could never be rebuilt. Then came the breaking point. Ryan had the audacity to show up at my workplace, trying to explain himself. He said he was drunk that night, that he didn't mean to hurt me. I stared at him in disbelief. I wanted to punch him, but I realized something. Physical revenge wouldn't heal me. It would only make me look weak. I decided right then to take a different kind of revenge, calculated, quiet, and unforgettable. I started by exposing Ryan's lies. He worked at a company that had recently partnered with my firm. I gathered evidence of his unprofessional behavior, his inappropriate messages to my wife, and the timeline of events. Within a week, I made sure his boss received it all anonymously. Ryan was suspended for misconduct. Watching his career collapse felt like justice served. As for Maria, I filed for divorce. When she came to plead her case in front of my family, I told her in front of everyone that she no longer had a place in my life or my home. Her tears didn't move me anymore. My family tried to intervene, but I reminded them that they had already chosen their side when they hid the truth. I packed her belongings into boxes, left them by the door, and said nothing more. The day she left, the house felt empty, but also cleaner, like the air itself had been freed of poison. I changed the locks, deleted her number, and blocked Ryan on everything. For the first time in months, I slept through the night without nightmares. The silence was painful, but it was also peaceful. I was finally in control again. In the following weeks, word spread about what had happened. Some people pitied me, others admired my strength. Ryan disappeared from our town not long after, unable to face anyone. Maria went to live with her sister. I didn't care where they ended up. All I cared about was rebuilding my life from the ashes they left behind. Over time, my anger turned into clarity. I realized revenge wasn't just about making them suffer, It was about reclaiming my dignity and peace. I didn't destroy them physically or financially. I simply erased them from my story, letting the weight of their own choices crush them naturally. Months later, I met someone new, someone who knew my past but didn't judge me for it. She reminded me that betrayal doesn't define who we are, how we rise after it does. It took everything in me to trust again, but slowly, I began to heal. Looking back now, I'm thankful the truth came out, no matter how painful it was. Losing them both was the price I had to pay for peace. But in the end, it wasn't a loss, it was freedom. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't anger or destruction. It's walking away with your head held high while the people who wronged you drown in the guilt they created themselves.